Hello and welcome to, yes, the running gag that we're still doing only because Ryan Rowe finds it funny. I should have expected that. You probably did. Well, here's something you weren't expecting. Welcome to the Great Muppet Fandom Panel, a Muppet news show brought to you by toughpigs.com. It's your favorite news show that's not like the others. Here, Muppet fans, unbeknownst to them until this very moment, will be competing at talking about recent Muppet events to see who's this week's greatest Muppet fandom panelist. I'm your host, JD Hansel of toughpigs.com. Today on the Great Muppet Fandom Panel, we're borrowing the format of another Tough Pigs podcast, Hubba Wah, which is currently taking a mid-season break, but we'll be releasing new episodes in this feed at some point soon. In the meantime, for just this one episode, we're a game show.
Are we actually committing to this bit?
Joe, I have planned so many questions, and I have an Excel spreadsheet, so we're going to try to do it, and if it fails spectacularly, then we will change course.
I can't argue with somebody who has an Excel spreadsheet.
If you have an Excel spreadsheet, then I can't argue with that. That's completely reasonable.
I know.
He means business.
I know.
You know, I've never been on a Tough Pigs podcast before, but I have accidentally ruined the ending of an episode of Hubba Wah. So let's see how this goes.
Well, Tori, now you get to be on two Muppet podcasts at once. How cool is that?
Wow.
Just think of what you could ruin.
There's so much potential.
The opportunity of a lifetime.
This podcast is a recap of the highlights from the Muppet news over the past few months. It's sort of like a quarterly report on the state of the Muppets, except unlike in a real quarterly report, the people having this conversation today were actually directly involved in creating the value that made this quarter so special. That's because some of the biggest Muppet happenings of the past few months have been in-person events that bring the Muppet fans together, including an event at the Center for Puppetry Arts, multiple conventions, a walking tour of New York City, another of Craig Shemin's fabulous screenings of rare Muppet clips, and a toy fair. Let's introduce the panelists, who will not be getting freebie points for introducing themselves like on Hubba Wah because I expect them to earn their keep. First up, from the Tough Pigs team, this looks familiar, vaguely familiar, almost unreal yet, it's Joe Hennis.
Kissy kissy, my name's Joe Hennis, my pronouns are he, him, and this is the part where JD asked me to say something that amuses me.
Great, thank you for being here. Next, from Muppets No Context and live from Muppetland, I wish I had a house of stone that looked down on Tori Schmidt.
Hi, my name is Tori Schmidt. I use she, her pronouns. And has anybody ever tried eating frazzle? Because I want to try to eat frazzle.
Great. Next up is an artist, puppet builder, and too many impressive things to mention. Some folks remember their mothers, and others, Richard Gomez.
Thank you, JD. Howdy do. My name is Richard Michael Gomez. I use he, him pronouns, and they can't stop me from bringing a kazoo into a podcast.
Unfortunately, he is correct. Finally, one of our friends from the Muppets Twitter and Discord communities, whom you may know for his YouTube channel, A Bagel. He's also Richard's roommate. Find where you hide and look inside, and you've got Gav.
Hi, my name is Gav. I use he, him pronouns. I'm also known as Miss Piggy Cleavage Coin Bank, and I'm so happy to be here. Yay.
Thank you, Gav. I'm glad you're here, too. And I'm your moderator, JD Hansel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, let the games begin. Your first challenge is a game we like to call the Great Muppet Question. Panelists, are you... Oh, shoot, the echo is still on. How the heck do you turn this thing off?
Is it this? Did that button work? No, wait, here we go.
Okay, I'm not doing that effect again. Panelists.
It feels like I have toothache all over my body.
Panelists, your Great Muppet Question is, what do you think was Jim Henson's most valuable contribution to the world?
Does it matter what order we go in?
No, it's chaos on this show.
Okay, I'll go first. Well, you know, Jim Henson, he was a wordsmith. He left behind a lot of really great quotes. I see them all the time on Facebook. You know, it's a black and white picture of Jim and white text on a black background of stuff he totally really said. You know, the one I think was his greatest accomplishment on this earth is the one that, of course, scholars study and they teach in
Mhm.
elementary schools. And there's a big giant mural of it at my college campus, actually. So I
Yes, we
think
all know
his
the one.
we all know the one. I think his greatest accomplishment in this world is, of course, his classic quote, "One door's red and the other's blue when you play the Muppets Party
It's
Cruise."
interesting. I have a similar mural at my college, but it says, "What the f*** are you talking about?" instead.
No, dear Mr. Dion.
Yes.
Hey, Joe. How are we handling profanity this time around?
Oh, yes. No, my apologies.
We'll put kazoo noises in there.
Yeah, we'll just bleep that.
Oh, I wanted a new sound effect for this season, actually, instead of the honking. So if you want to do a kazoo
swoop
sound,
promos. You have a basket of swoop promos.
I do. I've considered using that. Richard, what's your question?
Right.
Or
But
your answer to the
with
question, rather.
With my question, just kidding. Much like Tori, I was inspired by a phrase of Jim Henson. I think the couple of words, icky gunk, are perhaps the greatest things that Jim Henson has left to us. I just think it congeals and compels something in me. Icky gunk. I want that to stay with everybody. It's a moist, sensuous phrase. Thank you, JD.
All right, great. I hated that.
Ditto.
Joe Hennis, what do you think was Jim Henson's most valuable contribution to the world?
Oh, this is such an easy question, JD. I don't think it actually constitutes an actual discussion. It's barely even like a trivia question. It's so obvious. The answer is Janice, the guitar player for the Electric Mayhem. It's in the way she speaks, the way she dresses, all of her mannerisms. You could hear it in her most famous catchphrases, like when she says, "For sure, really, could you get behind it?" It's all these reasons and more why Janice is easily Jim Henson's most Valley Girl contribution to the world.
Joe, I said most valuable contribution to the world.
Oh, never mind.
But that was a very nice try.
I tried so hard for you, JD.
Yeah, I can tell. You clearly care about the quality of your podcasts, given that the attention to detail that you paid in answering that question. Gav, what do you think was Jim Henson's most valuable contribution to the world?
I think Jim Henson's most valuable contribution to the world was, of course, the Muppets, which weren't valuable just enough because they only cost $6 million for Disney. Or was it $15 million? Either way, it was not enough. And I believe Jim Henson maybe should have worked a little harder.
Yeah. Down with Jim Henson. That's the second episode of this podcast on which I've said that.
Down with the Hensons.
No. To be clear, just down with Jim.
I think he should have, maybe kept up a little bit of a better work ethic.
Yes, he could have worked harder. He could have traveled more. He could have slept less. He could have been like Richard.
Absolutely.
That was wonderful. You all got 20 points for your answers, except for Joe, who, didn't really understand the question, only got 10 points for that answer.
It's okay, Joe. I'll loan you a couple of my points.
Oh, thanks, Gav.
No problem. Anytime.
Wait, Gav, how many of your points are you giving to Joe?
I'll give him 10 for now.
All right.
Oh, buddy. That's so sweet.
It's all right.
Can I take points from Joe?
No.
Darn it.
All right. I've updated the scores in the Excel spreadsheet. So far, this is going
there's a
great.
We're keeping track.
Yeah. We'll see how long that lasts.
Bet you're regretting that choice now, Gav.
Well, panelists, thank you for whatever that was. At this time, I'd like to remind our listeners that we're not covering all the Muppet news on this show. This isn't a weekly updates podcast, so if you're looking for that, listen to another podcast. However, if you'd like to stay up to date on everything happening in the Muppet world as it's happening, you've got to follow toughpigs.com wherever social networks are sold. I ran out of breath that time. Here are a few examples of places where you can find Tough Pigs. Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Threads, Thraw, Gorch, The Cube, Vinny's Puppet Pleasureland, Grouchland, and the Bog of Eternal Stench. Most of those are owned by Elon now, and it turns out he always owned that last one, but we try our best to make them a little nicer. In the news, let's get into the trivia portion of the show with a game I like to call Bonus Round. Now you may ask, as well you should, why are we starting with the bonus points?
Why
are we starting with the bonus?
Why are we
Why,
starting with
JD?
the
What
bonus
made you
points?
think
Why,
it was a good
JD?
idea?
Why?
Very good. You all get a point for that.
Woo!
Thanks for asking. We're actually not starting with a round of bonus points. This is, in fact, a round of questions about Muppet home media bonus features. Here's how this is going to work. When I ask a question and you think you know the answer, just type the first letter of your first name into the Zoom chat, and whoever sends that first buzzes in first. You do not have to wait until I've finished asking the question before you buzz in. It's your call. It's entirely up to you. I love doing this far more chaotically than Becca does her show. To remind all of us to take this a little less seriously, since this is way worse. All right. And hey, let's not agree to play fair today. Feel free to look at any resource you want, including Muppet Wiki, toughpigs.com, or An Inconvenient Truth by Al Gore, although that last one will not help you answer any of these questions in any way. Just keep in mind that in the time you're spending trying to open up the right tab, your opponents may be buzzing in before you.
That sounds like a trick question. I feel like I should have that Al Gore book handy just in case.
No, I'm not pulling any tricks. All right. I see you're all typing farts into the chat. Okay, let's begin. Question 1. Which of the following titles...
I know.
Gav?
37.
All right, you lost that one. Which of the following titles was not released with a bonus featurette hosted by Pepe the King Prawn? A. The Muppet Christmas Carol. B. Muppets from Space. C. The Muppets Wizard of Oz. Or D. Studio DC Almost Live. Tori?
Studio DC Almost Live.
Incorrect. Anyone else want to steal? Joe buzzed in next. What you got, Joe?
Whatever the first one was.
The Muppet Christmas Carol?
Was that the first one you said?
That's the first one I said. The first one I said was the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah, sure, why not?
That is
Let's do
also
that
incorrect. Gav?
Are you sure?
Gav, you've already answered. All right. Well,
Joe,
Richard.
I don't know. I think Joe is right.
Hi, my turn to talk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a fifth answer, JD.
Okay, what's that?
The correct one.
All right, well, none of you are getting any points for this. It was Muppets from Space. They did not release Muppets from Space with a bonus feature hosted by Pepe the King Prawn. Surprisingly, since that's his movie, it does look like there was a release of the Muppet Christmas Carol where they tacked on one of the Pepe things.
I hope you all appreciate that I had a 50-50 chance and I wanted to do a bit instead.
I don't.
Thank you.
Wait, I just had a revelation. Did Studio DC Almost Live have a DVD release?
Yes, it did. And it
Yeah.
has a Pepe bonus feature. Yes. Also, the Pepe's profile
I know we're all
feature...
getting together to watch.
I legitimately
I
who
need
owns
it.
it. I don't know one person, and I know a lot
I've
of
never
people.
heard of anyone owning that DVD. Question 2. What Muppet Home Video release included a behind-the-scenes featurette called On the Set with Kermit, in which we see Kermit in the makeup chair? This is not a multiple-choice question. Gav?
Muppets Wizard of Oz?
Nope. Everyone came in at once, but Tori's here first. Tori?
Is it Studio DC Almost Live?
No, it is not. Joe?
Let's go with the 2011 Muppet movie.
Also wrong. Richard?
Can you repeat the answer but not the question?
Absolutely not. You all lose points, or at least get no points for that. The answer is Kermit's Swamp Years. We see him made up to be young Kermit in that, which is a funny bit.
Oh. Yeah.
Comment infamously.
Oh,
Now,
forgot
does
that
anybody,
existed.
now, does anybody own that DVD?
I do.
I do.
probably almost
Yeah.
all of us.
That's the thing, is I put that question here because I knew most of you should have that. Most of you are younger than me.
Listen, if somebody
So-
wants to send me a copy, I'll take it.
I own the DVD and have never watched. Like I've seen the movie before, but I bought the DVD and put it on my shelf and literally never watched it. Are you proud of me?
Yeah, you're such a great Muppet fan. I'm so glad that you're in charge of the most prominent Muppet fan site on planet Earth. And finally,
I think everyone would support my actions here
Maybe.
on this one when it comes to Kermit's Swamp Years.
maybe, finally, the reason for the segment. What's the latest Muppet Home Media release to feature a new director's commentary? Gav?
Just kidding. Muppets Take Manhattan.
It is The Muppets Take Manhattan.
Look at Mr. Smarty Pants.
We learned back in August that this movie would be getting a new 4K remaster, and it was released on October 24th. Frank Oz personally oversaw the new transfer and recorded a digital commentary track for it, and it comes with a digital copy of the film. Panelists, this is not for points. What are your thoughts about this news?
So I don't know who the director is of this movie, or if I should know him, but I am thrilled that a Pepe Mippetism is included.
So the weird thing about this release is that the audio commentary is only on the 4K version, but they also include the Blu-ray with the bonus features that it used to have, which I think come from the DVD, which is why the Pepe stuff is carried over, the Jim Henson interviews carried over, that sort of thing. So it's a frustrating thing where you can buy it and it says Blu-ray on the front cover and think, well, then I'll just put the Blu-ray disc into my player and enjoy this Frank Oz commentary, but that won't work.
I'm sorry, you'd rather listen to a man talk about puppets for 2 hours than watch Pepe possibly more than one time?
Richard, we're counting on people wanting to listen to people talk about Muppets for hours at a time. That's what we're doing on this podcast.
You can get 2 DVDs and have one with one of a man talking for 2 hours, or you could get multiple copies of Pepe sharing his little shrimpy joy with you for about two joy-filled minutes. And honestly, it's no competition to see what the people are flocking for.
Richard, I will pay you cash to never say the word shrimpy joy again.
Richard, I will pay you to never say words again. Joe, what were you going to say?
Okay, so I have the new Muppet Take Manhattan Blu-ray. I was very excited to get it in the mail the other day, and I was planning on watching the Frank Oz commentary today in preparation for this podcast because I knew we'd be talking about it. And as you said, I was one of those people who put that Blu-ray into my Blu-ray player and did not know that it wouldn't work until the Blu-ray player told me that it wouldn't work. And then I went on to Amazon to figure, like, well, how much would I need to spend to get a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player? And they're like $200. Mm-hmm. And this is the only 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray I intend on owning. So is it worth $200 for me to watch Muppets Take Manhattan in 4K with the Frank Oz commentary? And the answer, of course, is yes. But like, I don't wanna. Like, I think someone should buy it for me.
This is the.
But
could you, Joe? Could you or could you not watch the Pepe Muppetism?
Richard, get out of here.
Okay,
Richard.
I'm ending the bit there. It's such a genuine joy to be able to listen to Frank Oz talk about this. Sorry, Gav.
Joe, I think. Oh, sorry, Gav. Go ahead.
There's a digital movie included with the disc, right? So
so you get 3 versions of the same identical movie.
But does the digital version come with the Frank Oz commentary? Is I think the question.
No, it doesn't. It's not. It's. I mean, I will double check that, but I'm 99% sure it's only on the 4K version because it doesn't say that on the back. On the back, it just says 4K with Frank Oz commentary.
Right. I think the idea is that he is also talking about the transfer.
Right, because Frank oversaw the new transfer, and I'm sure that's something he's way more interested in as a director than. No, you're laughing, but like I think it's true. Like Frank Oz being a guy who's in his 80s, right? And he's still like very much a director first in his mind. Yeah, like I think he cares a lot about that kind of thing. Where like we're just like, I don't know, why did Fozzie Bear do that thing with his hand? And he's like, I don't care. Like look at how crisp it looks. You can really see.
I mean, Frank Oz is all about the craft, and I think this was an opportunity for him to focus on the craft and actually celebrate his Muppet movie as a movie. Not just as a Muppet.
And of course, like I don't know that for sure because I didn't get to watch the movie with the commentary yet.
True, we don't know.
Very upset about this.
First of all, Gav, it's my turn to talk. Thank you. First of all, Frank Oz is not a day over 79, and let's not get it twisted. First of all, we are. Yeah,
pretty sure I said he's like 80, which is 79 is like 80.
Correct. Let's remember.
Okay,
that.
well, thankfully we don't have a record of what I've said or didn't say.
And second of all, I would just pay Frank Oz to make a podcast. Can he just talk and have somebody else edit it for him?
Richard, let me tell you, man, I've tried. I have tried. I have asked. And honestly, I think it comes down to the fact that like it's not that Frank wouldn't want to do a podcast. I think he just doesn't want to hang out with me on a weekly basis.
Okay, I didn't say anything about you.
Right, that part's important.
If only there was a podcast episode on this very feed that featured Frank Oz.
Oh, if only. Thank you for the plug, Tori. Yes, if on this very feed, if you go back a bit, you'll find an interview that Jared and I did with Frank Oz on our podcast to introduce our guest star. And what a joy it was to get to talk to him.
You'll send me the check for plugging? You'll send me the check?
Yeah, you'll get a percentage, Tori.
Okay, good. Thank you.
What do you want?
Great.
5%, 50%, 150%?
27.
You know, it is a little bit frustrating to me that we as fans want to be treated as a significant audience for collectible items, and here they are releasing a really great collector's items for fans of a particular film franchise. And in theory, we should all be snatching it up. And here I am, a film fan and a Muppet fan. And I'm like, but do I want to buy a 4K Blu-ray player just for this? And if I bought the player, I'd probably end up buying other titles, which is why they do it this way. But I don't know. I just don't know. And I feel bad for not knowing because, like, if the fans don't respond when they give us a cookie, then we can't ask for milk and expect milk.
But also, this isn't Disney. This is Sony.
Even still.
That's true. This is Sony.
What, don't you want them to release more Muppets from Space stuff? Come on.
Give me the 4-hour cut of that.
This takes me back to when they were going to make that. Remember that big Cookie Monster replica? It was going to be like,
Yeah.
I think about that all the
$300
time.
or something like that. So I talked to Hasbro, right? Was that a Hasbro thing?
Mhm.
I'm sorry,
I think
on
so.
this. And I remember talking to Hasbro at the time, and they were like, "So what do you think? Will Muppet fans buy this?" And I said, "Well, first of all, I think some Muppet fans will, but second of all, Muppet fans are not like other fans. We're not like Star Wars fans. We're like, you've got your casual fans and you've got the people who are going to spend thousands of dollars on merchandise. We don't really have that with Muppets. Like there, of course, are always a few people who are going to spend a lot of money, but Muppet fans, for the most part, don't want to spend or probably don't have large amounts of money.
Right.
We'll always buy stuff. We'll always want more. We'll buy stuff piecemeal or little by little that'll add up. But we're not big item people. And I know this is getting a little bit off topic, but we've been talking about this recently with the Super 7 Super Grover and Count figures that are $300 for these giant figures. And I don't know a single human being, and I know a lot of Muppet fans of different types of Muppet fans. I don't know a single person who's interested in even considering to buy those. And it's specifically because it's a lot of money.
Right. That it does really capture how Muppet fans work very well. I want all of the Muppet stuff. However, we as Muppet fans, for whatever reason, probably budget a bit more than others, or maybe just have to.
Yeah, and I think we also like to collect. I think about things like the Diamond Selects or the Palisades figures, where it's like, yeah, $15-$20 a pop, whatever it costs. Like, yeah, I'll do that. And then next thing you know, you've spent hundreds of dollars, but you have like 50 of these figures. And
right.
That's worth it to us.
And the things that we'd like to collect, like we generally would be happy with relatively inexpensive and perhaps even relatively inexpensive looking plush dolls of obscure characters. Like so long as they're not crap, so 100%. Long as they're not hideous.
Yes.
We'll take just a very simple, inexpensive, nice thing for the sake of having nice versions of the Muppets we like to look at, more than like we feel the need to show off that we have a $300 Muppet object, which most of us don't feel any need to do or don't have the means to do, I think.
Let me pay $20 for a plush of Frazzle, and I will be very happy.
Same. Oh my gosh, same.
Could be said of any of us.
Have they not done Frazzle at Sesame Place yet?
I don't
They have
think
not
they
done
have.
Frazzle anywhere.
They
to
haven't
my
done
knowledge.
Frazzle.
A Frazzle
I mean,
official
that might
plush
be-
has been released.
So if people don't know, at the Sesame Place theme park, once a year they choose a classic character to make a plush out of, and they've done like Hairy Monster and the Two-Headed Monster and Ovahita and Murray and Telly and like all these
Can
other
we-
Barkley,
can you-
Slimy.
Pause for just 2 seconds. Ovahita, a classic character. I can't. That does not make any sense to me. But I
think she's
understand.
No, you're right.
enough.
Ovahita I included because Ovahita is not such a popular character that she would justify an entire line of merchandise.
Gosh, this
But
slander against
you
everyone's
could
favorite.
at one
My
point
goodness.
you could at
No,
one
I'm-
point buy an Ovahita plush at Sesame Place and nowhere else. That's my point. It
No,
doesn't
I'm
matter if
just
it's an old
saying
character
that,
or
like-
a new character.
All right, continue. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So I think at some point they're going to run out of classic characters that people would actually want to buy. Like I believe the last one was Guy Smiley, which is obviously a great choice. But it's like who's left? Okay, we got to get Frazzle in there. We got to get, I don't know, Mr. Johnson maybe. Sherlock Hemlock, but
Yeah.
we're going to run out pretty soon. So I do think that Frazzle's probably on their short list. We just have to be a little patient.
I hope so. Now it's time for a segment I like to call, Wait, I had something I wanted to say about that. In this game, I'm going to ask a few questions related to stories in the Muppet headlines from the past few weeks, and then move on to the next thing before you have time to comment on it. This might make you think, wait, I had something I wanted to say about that, but that's okay. It's only a few questions, and at the end, we'll circle back to whichever of these topics you want to discuss further. Let's begin. Question 1. On September 6th, the Center for Puppetry Arts held a celebration of Dave Goelz, honoring his 50-year career with the Muppets, and debuted a Gonzo puppet that they put on display through October. What was special about this Gonzo puppet, or at the very least, about how it was displayed? Looks like Tori buzzed in first.
He is in his great Muppet Caper outfit.
That is correct.
How many points do I get?
You got 5 points for that. I also would have accepted that this is like the first time they've ever displayed Gonzo, because they had to, this is not the Gonzo that was in Great Muppet Caper. The puppet just keeps turning to dust. Why are you all buzzing in? Richard, what's up?
Okay, I'd like to correct you a little bit.
Oh, please do.
So this is not the first time Gonzo has, I know I nearly said Gav. This is not the first time Gonzo has ever been on display. It is the first time in recent history.
Oh, okay.
Because
I apologize.
in the 80s and 90s, he was on display pretty often, but we haven't had one on display, I feel like, at least 20 years, because of your previously stated, it's reticulated foam and it toasts, unfortunately.
I thought I said the first time at the Center for Puppetry Arts.
You said the first time.
I said the first.
Oh, I'm so
first
sorry.
time.
That's my bad.
The first time it happens.
You're a liar.
I apologize.
You're
I'm going to throw
misinforming
3
the
points to
people.
Richard.
The first time it happens, we know, JD.
Question 2. Also in September, the Muppets appeared at the Destination D23 Expo in Walt Disney World, where Dave Goelz was honored for his 50 years with the Muppets and was congratulated by the chairman of Disney Parks Experiences and Products. What's that guy's name? Joe Hennis.
Figment.
All right. Tori?
Was that not right?
David Hogsall.
That was not right. Gav?
Ray the Raychem seal.
Okay, well, the correct answer was Josh Tomorrow, but that's all right. There's always tomorrow. Question 3. Speaking of Disney parks, Muppet Vision 3D recently received an unexpected upgrade. Which scene did they punch up, and what did they change about it? Joe buzzed in first. What you got, Joe?
So it's the scene where Waldo explodes into a bunch of tiny little Waldos, and they made it so it's a new tech so that the Waldo is actually the ones that are projected on the walls are actually alive. I cannot remember what the tech is called, but they changed the projection so it looks cool now.
Joe, that is exactly the answer that I wanted. In fact, that is both answers that I wanted.
Oh, wonderful. Do you want a third answer?
They are using projection mapping.
Ah, thank you. I would not have remembered that.
I did not remember it either, and I forgot to write it down. I just checked on toughpigs.com. I checked an article that was written by one Joe Hennis. So it's probably right.
Who?
I remembered
What?
it was projection mapping. You guys are fake fans. Ugh.
Tori, just for saying that, I'm going to give you 1 extra point, because you're correct. We're fake fans.
Thank you. Thank you.
I heard some people said there were changes, but I thought they were just projecting.
Can we get Richard out of here, please?
All right, gang. Feel free to take this discussion to any of those topics. How about all this love for Dave Goelz? It's been so satisfying to see him get this recognition from so many different places this year.
I know this wasn't in the things you mentioned, but this the D23.
No, that was not in the things I mentioned. You're right about that.
The D23 thing, the Center for Puppetry Arts thing, they were all great, but the Dave thing that was the most beautiful this year was the episode of the Beretta Brothers podcast.
Yeah.
Which I know
Absolutely.
isn't in this section of time we're talking about, but still it's people just in the Muppet fandom, and I think also within the Muppets themselves, love Dave so much. It's really nice to see a guy that legendary getting the recognition he so rightfully deserves.
And with that, it's time for the next segment of this game show. Gav explains Ray the Raychem seal. Gav?
Oh, I would love to.
What is this podcast about?
It is now time for Gav's discussion question. Gav, what discussion question are you by first today?
Oh, I'm starting? Okay.
Yeah.
What is your firmest Muppet or Henson or Sesame headcanon? I could answer this first, but I won't.
Oh, that's a shame because I have been struggling to come up with an answer to this question. I don't think I think in terms of headcanons that much. I'm such a literalist.
I'll start with my answer if you'd like.
And Gav, can you just pull yourself an inch or two away from the microphone because you're clipping a little
Yes,
bit?
I can. So, one of my favorite Sesame headcanons is that Chris, the character Chris, is Olivia's son.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah.
Sure. That's cool.
Okay. I mean, you can.
I thought you were going to say something controversial like that.
Oh,
just
no,
seems
no,
to make
no,
sense.
no. But something.
How does it make
something
sense?
that
Actually, Joe,
makes
can
so
you
much
explain the
sense
logic
that
of
it
it?
could be canon, but hasn't been
Oh
confirmed.
yeah, no, they in his first appearance, Chris refers to Gordon as his uncle.
But here's the thing. This is where it gets deep. There's a Robinson family reunion episode in the 90s, and Olivia does not show up for, I mean, obvious reasons. Well, maybe reasons not so obvious because Gordon had a brother who already had kids and were essentially Chris's age if you line the timelines up. But where did Olivia go? Now this is where, the headcanoning can, get a little wild. You can decide where she went and what she did and how Chris came back to Sesame Street and what made her leave Sesame Street. But this is a whole thing entirely altogether, and I'll let you get to all your answers.
Good Lord, Gav.
Okay.
Food for thought.
So, may I go next?
Please.
Absolutely.
Okay. This one isn't original to me, but another Muppet fan podcast by the name of Muppeturgy has kind of drilled this one into my head, and I am now pretty much convinced the Muppet Theater is in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Oh.
Love it.
Tell me more.
Because there's just like, I don't remember the exact details on my head, but they go into it a lot on that show where it's like, well, it's like a train ride from New York, but a bus ride from Philadelphia. And they like, especially like if you look at is it Loretta Lynn that's at the train station? I think it's Loretta Lynn.
That sounds right.
Like it's the train stuff and how the map works of where they might be in the United States. It's like, it's almost certainly Pittsburgh, which
You know
is
what?
just really funny to me.
And something Muppet fans never talk about is how much they say yins in the Muppet Show.
All right,
Well, you know what? What really made me think of it is that one episode where Kermit's wearing a Pittsburgh Pirates T-shirt.
What episode was that?
I think that's every episode, right? Of season 3?
Who could forget the iconic line, Charlie, mail this somewhere other than Pittsburgh.
It's the Brooke Shields episode. That's probably why you haven't seen it.
I'm still scratching my head to think of a Muppet headcanon. I mean, there's the obvious Kermit did 9/11, but everybody knows that. So that's not even
That's always a
interesting.
fun one.
It is.
But that's not your headcanon. Like JD, I don't think you actually think that Kermit did 9/11. I think you got to have your own headcanon.
All right.
The Kermit 9/11 thing was my opening line of an improv show I was in 2 weeks ago.
How did
Good.
that go over?
They immediately shut me up, and it was the loudest laugh of the first hour of that show.
Good.
Good.
That's a hard thing to yes and.
Joe, I think it's your turn.
So I'm struggling to think of headcanons. I have some that I've written about on Tough Pigs before that are very stupid and I find them amusing. Tori reminded me about I wrote an article about my theory that the Muppet Theater is actually a Fraggle hole, which would explain the changing locations. And I had a theory once. I wrote an article called "Why Do They Always Come Here?" with all these theories about Statler and Waldorf, why they show up week to week for the Muppet Show. And my favorite one of all those is that Statler is secretly Fozzie Bear's dad.
Wait, no, this is revolutionary.
Yeah,
spoilers.
well, you should have read the article when it came out. It would have made more sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm sure I have more that are new and original and interesting. Well, one that I've always liked is that the 2015 Muppet sitcom. I remember when it came out because it's only a year after Muppets Most Wanted, and we're like on this trajectory for the character Walter. You know, like he's in the 2011 movie, he's in the 2014 movie, he's in all the promotional stuff. He's just always there. And then suddenly he's not there for the sitcom. And so my theory was that he's the one filming the documentary about Up Late with Miss Piggy because he's a fan, like he would. But then we never saw him on camera. So it was never confirmed.
Gosh,
That's really sweet.
This is amazing because I am, again, such a literalist that I would never think about any of this. My explanation for why Walter isn't there is that the writers didn't know what to do with him. My in-canon explanation is non-existent.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You're 100% right. Like, of course the writers didn't know what to do with him. The writers still don't really know what to do with him. And the question of where's Walter is something that literally only people in this room are ever asking. But and I guess Peter Linz. But I don't know, why not? Like what like we never saw the filmmakers behind The Office or
You're right.
or any of those other shows.
I would,
What We Do in the
and I'll just
Shadows.
say I would take more Walter any day. I think Walter's very fun.
Well,
I like to
and the
think
thing
that
that
Walter is just in Muncie, Indiana, and nobody told him that they were doing the show.
Could have been child labor laws.
I should say that I know where Walter is. He's in a bag somewhere.
let's not get that literal about this whole thing.
Yeah, now he's being taken out to sleep with the fishes.
You could go through a number of rabbit holes just asking yourself where any maybe obscure character went after they disappeared from any production,
Yeah, where's Frazzle?
Right, exactly.
Where is
and-
Frazzle?
And what does he taste like?
Okay. All right.
Those are real questions. Take notes, JD.
Okay, Gav, I'll give you 3 points for the discussion question that you brought today.
Special little guy's tone, by the way, not to butt myself in.
Richard, what's your headcanon?
I've talked about this extensively before. I will again. I normally try not to go for headcanons that are just like, this character kind of looks like this character, so they're related. But I could not help myself with this one. Don Music and Guy Smiley are twin brothers. And the reason I think this is because Guy Smiley canonically changed his name. And I highly doubt that Don Music was born Don Music. I think that they were Donald and Bonnie Littlekrantz, and they both changed their names to get into show business, respectively, songwriting and the television business.
I don't know. I don't see the resemblance at all.
Maybe I'm looking too deep into this, but I think Don Music gives a little bit more Catholic vibes. And if Guy Smiley's name was Bernie Liederkrantz, I don't think they're related.
Wait, are you suggesting that the guy who has complete angst and obviously is stressing out over the tiniest little things like Don Music is not Jewish?
You know what? You make an interesting point.
I can say this because I am Jewish. I need to make that clear.
I did not know that.
OMG, wait, new lore?
This is also why more headcanon. I never liked the fact that Baby Bear is Jewish on Sesame Street when really it should be Telly Monster.
Oh.
I mean, they could both be
No,
Jewish,
that's
but Telly
weird.
should be the
Joe,
Jewish
oh my
one.
God. Me and Gav and a couple other people on a Twitter space, we've done this like multiple times where we run through every Muppet and we ask Gav which ones he thinks are Jewish. It's a great time.
Somebody said that every blue Muppet is Jewish. And I was like, no, not every.
Oh, I've heard that too.
It's like
Yeah,
that's
someone else
like a
said that to me.
TikTok thing. I think it's a TikTok thing.
Some, but
Uncle
not
Deadly
all.
is probably Jewish. I could see that.
Thog
Yeah.
does light a menorah, and it's a very merry, schmerry, blueberry.
It's a very merry, quite contrary, kind of hairy, sort of scary.
Story with the
Muppet Christmas
fringe
movie.
on top. Muppet Christmas movie.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, that bit ran away from me. JD.
Let's have a moment of Muppet merch. Joe, you recently shared an unboxing video featuring some lovely Labyrinth figures. Is that correct?
It is correct.
All right, you get a point for that. Joe, what can you tell us about these figures or about any of the Muppet merch that is at Toy Fair or anything that you want to feature to get this conversation going?
So the figures I opened were these beautiful Labyrinth figures of Jareth, Sarah, and Ludo. And so they're in this really cool style. Of course, I don't have the information in front of me, so I can't remember exactly what they're called. You probably have it, JD.
So these are the mini epic figures, I think is what you're talking about.
Thank you. Yeah, they're great. And then when we were at Toy Fair, we stopped at the Weta Workshop booth. they had a bunch of other Labyrinth and Dark Crystal stuff on display. So they had more statues. Some of these were in more realistic style of what you see in the movie, and also more in this exaggerated style, but for the Dark Crystal characters, for Jen and Kira. I think they're dope. I think they're really fun, and they are sitting on my shelf right now, and I'm very happy to own them. And I think other people should check them out because they're not terribly expensive, which is also, as we previously established, is a good thing for Muppet fans.
So you can get Sarah for $40, Jareth for $40. I mean, in terms of like really good action figures like these, that is a pretty good price. Ludo, which is the one I really want, is a little more. That's $50. And if you want Sarah with the worm, that's $50.
And I would also argue, like, they're not really action figures. They're not articulated in any way.
Right.
They're statues.
Yeah.
You know, like it's something you put on your shelf and you look at because it's pretty, which 40 or $50 for that is actually a steal.
Now, they do have a more complicated figure here that is Jareth and Sarah and Baby Toby in the staircase scene. Gorgeous piece. That one is $1,200, which again...
Oh, is that all? They didn't send that to me for free.
Who's buying that?
Right. This again brings us back to the problem of, if there were enough of us, then you could justify that, and thered be a handful of people who were into it, certainly. I want it. I'm looking at this, and I want it, but I could never justify the expense.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're all going to chip in like $50.
Right.
And then everyone gets it on alternating weeks. And we just have to ship it to each other. And that's
yeah,
just how it
24 of us just have to ship it to each other. We all contribute
yeah.
50.
quick, a small quick aside, because we're talking about Labyrinth merch. Is this okay to bring up?
Please.
Who do we think is going to buy the pinball machine?
Oh, God.
I can tell you, if Ryan Rowe had the money, he would have it already.
I know. It looks so cool. They did such a nice job with this new pinball machine, truly.
It's beautiful. It's great.
They've just recently, like this company that just started, a brand new company, right out of the gate did a Labyrinth-themed pinball machine. And they committed. They got the rights to the David Bowie songs from the movie that are somehow in this pinball game. And it's like a real machine, beautifully crafted with these amazing little, they are like statues that pop up that you're going to like hit with a ball and bounce around. And it looks fantastic. I want it. Almost as much as Ryan does, even though I am not the pinball player that Ryan is, but I nevertheless probably won't have it because it's super expensive. What Ryan recommends in his article about it on Tough Pigs, which you all can read, is try to find an arcade that buys it. And I don't know if that's going to be easy or hard. Probably hard, but I need to find an arcade with the Labyrinth pinball immediately.
Probably extremely difficult.
I imagine
we
so.
We all know how great arcades are doing in 2023.
Absolutely.
This arcade, considering this is a new arcade company and they're starting off, with a Labyrinth pinball machine, I think they're on the right track to make a pinball number count pinball machine, which should have been made a long time
there
ago.
we go.
I know there would be just as much of a market for that, if not more, than the Labyrinth.
I know there's a virtual pinball.
It's not the same
that they made. No. Not the same. I'm right there with you, but that might be the closest we ever get.
Someone's clipping again. I think it's Gavin. I'm once again going to ask you to add a little more distance between you and the mic.
Yeah, a little less excited.
Let's get into some of these other discussion questions. Joe and Tori's are coincidentally kind of related, so I'm going to have Tori ask hers first, and then at any time during our answers to that question, Joe can jump in with his. Tori, whenever you're ready.
So my discussion question is very simple. It's, do you think we will ever actually get that third Sesame Street movie? And what are your hopes and expectations for the film?
My answer, for what it's worth, is not really, and I stopped having hopes a long time ago.
Oh, JD, I'm so sorry. Can I answer my own question? Is that allowed?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we will, but I actually don't know. I seriously do not know if that film will ever get made. I feel like I've been hearing about it for like 8 years, 9 years, maybe even a decade.
Yeah, but I feel like we haven't been hearing about it in the past year.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like the last thing we heard was, I think, Bo Burnham left, because Bo Burnham was attached to write the songs at some point,
he was attached for a while there, yeah.
Which would have been wild, first of all. And as for my expectations, Modern Sesame Street, I don't want to bring this conversation back, but Modern Sesame Street, I don't have very high expectations if we do get it, but I kind of hope we do, just because, like, it'd be nice for this new generation of puppeteers to have a movie to latch onto, if that makes sense.
Right. We haven't really had any sort of Muppet movie in a long time now. I mean, at this point, it's been, what, 9.5 years since Muppets Most Wanted? Is that right? If it came out...
Well, it's only been 5 years since the Happy Time murders. I mean, we got to count that.
So it's
Well-
been 9 years since the last Muppet movie, and about 5 years since Happy Time Murders. It's been a couple of months since the last Muppet special, and it's been 1 week since you looked at me. But I have hope in the Sesame Street movie.
I think Sesame executives sort of need to reprioritize their educational efforts and maybe focus just a little less on education and a little more on making that damn movie already. Even though, there might be absolutely no chance anymore, but you can dream.
I have a funny feeling there might be a panelist here who is limited in the extent to which he will be comfortable in talking about this or able to talk about this, but we have another discussion question from one of our panelists.
Okay, so I don't want to comment on the current slate of the current state of Sesame Street as JD recently wrote about on Tough Pigs about the questions of quality. But
I kind of regret that article because I shouldn't have even weighed in on it either.
I disagree. I think it's a very well thought out article, and I stand by it. But the article did raise the topic that it's very possible that Sesame Street may not last forever. We've always kind of assumed that Sesame Street would last forever because it's been around for more than 50 years at this point. But if the day were ever to come when the Sesame Street brands were to be sold to another company, what company would be the best new home for the franchise?
Joe, can I just say it's so funny? This was the other question I was thinking about.
Oh, well, then you probably have a really good answer because you've already been thinking about it.
Tori.
No. I think there's only two answers to this question that make sense logistically, and I don't want to say two because there's only 5 people, sorry, and I don't want to take someone else's answer. So I am going to say Apple, as in the phone company that also sometimes moonlights as a TV company. And I just say that because they have worked with Sesame Workshop in the past with Helpsters, which I haven't seen, but I'm sure it was a quality show. And of course, they have such a strong puppet connection with Fraggle Rock, and Apple seems really invested in children's content, and we've already seen them buy up legendary children's stuff because they now own the broadcasting rights to Peanuts. And so we've already seen them take classic children's brands and put them on their platform. So honestly, I think Sesame Street would fit really well in with Apple TV Plus, and I think Apple would probably put the whole series on there on HBO, or at least try. I feel like they would care a little bit more. So I'm going to go with Apple.
I think that the joining together of two, not so much companies, but two production organizations would probably be best for Sesame Street. And that's the Carnegie Foundation and PBS. I think they'd make a great Sesame Street show. No? All right. That joke plummeted. All right.
My question for that is do they have the money?
It was a joke suggestion because because Sesame Street started there anyway.
Yes, but I also want to remind because I know this is a joke answer, but I think certain people might be listening to this and wondering, well, it used to be owned by PBS and now it's owned by HBO, and that these are not ownership. These are not production houses that are putting Sesame Street on. Or taking care of the brand. They're just distribution deals. So Carnegie is a funder, and PBS it can air the network. PBS could potentially own it. That is an answer that that you could give for a potential future for Sesame Street, but that was never the case previously.
Right.
It was always CTW,
and then just SW.
So we had CTW, PBS. HBO, now IDC and IDK, but you can watch Cold Sorrel by Tao Bennett on YouTube.
Oh my gosh. There's Richard's plug for
So
today.
does anyone else have an answer to this stupid question I just asked?
I feel like they wouldn't trust any other company really with their brand other than, PBS. But then again, PBS would never have enough money to buy Sesame Street and the whole brand unless it were like a mutual thing.
Well, but we're saying, like, let's say that Sesame Workshop completely tanks. Like, it's done. It is done. It is like there's not anything left. There's no functional entity left. It's not about, who will we sell these characters to for money? It's like that is the only option. Is someone's going to get them somehow. Who's the company who's going to get it? That's what I'm wondering about. Maybe that's not Joe's question, but it sounded like it to me.
No, that is it. And who do we, the five of us, think would be the ideal home for Sesame, like the Sesame franchise?
Yeah, ideally it would be Henson or PBS. I don't think there's any company in existence right now that could do a better job. At least not that I know.
For those discussion questions, I'm giving the full 5 points to Tori. I'm giving 1 point to Joe's question because it was a question that Tori thought of and then scrapped in favor of a better one. Why did you settle for Tori's second choice, Joe? Moving on. I'd like to take a moment to remind our listeners that we really benefit from ratings and reviews in your podcatching app of choice, but especially Apple Podcasts. I'm sure that sometime over the next few hours you'll have a moment when you ask yourself, wasn't there something I was supposed to be doing today that I'm forgetting? And I want you to ignore that and take that moment to instead remember to open up the Apple Podcasts app and give this feed as many stars as you see fit. Remember that, or just do it now, unless you're driving.
I just did it, Joe.
We're going to jump back to current events trivia now, but this time the questions will be about stuff that we were actually there for. All of us were there for some of this stuff. Some of us were there for all of this stuff, but I'm going to try to give each of you a fair shot at getting some points. For context, for our listeners, this year, on September 24th, Jim Henson's birthday, the Museum of the Moving Image in Queens, New York, held a special Ralph the Dog-themed screening hosted by Craig Shemin, with music to celebrate Jim Henson at the beginning and end of the presentation, a structure that made it feel sort of like church. The music was performed by that incomparable banjo master, Lucas Ross, who was hilarious and delightful as always. Before that, Lucas was also part of a sing-along, stroll-along through New York City, hosted by Heather Henson with the help of one Joe Hennis. Our stops included the Jim Henson Bench in Central Park, a pond in Central Park where Jim Henson skipped stones one time, and the Carriage House. Panelists, let's see how much you can remember.
I'm not sure I was there.
This is your life.
Gav, were you there?
Was Gav there?
I don't remember.
Question one. What is the name of Heather Henson's organization that held this walking tour? Tori?
Ibex Puppetry.
Sorry, that's the wrong one. Gav?
The Green Feather Foundation.
That is correct.
Tori, you would have been correct a couple of months ago.
See, I wasn't at this one, so I don't even know why I answered.
There will be questions for you soon, don't you worry. Question 2. Craig Shemin's presentation featured clips of Ralph the Dog with what singing breakfast icon? Joe Hennis?
It was Lucky the Leprechaun from Lucky Charms.
That is correct. Richard?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
That is also correct. Anyone want to come in with the right answer for the easy question? The easiest, most obvious one. Buzz. Tori.
Jimmy Dean.
There we go. Take your points, Tori. Thank you for actually playing along with the dang game.
Who, may I say, makes terrible breakfast sandwiches that I ate throughout all of middle and high school.
The sandwiches are bad. The breakfast bowls are okay. They've gotten worse over time. Anyway, question 3. What other Muppet character appeared on the Jimmy Dean Show and was in Craig's compilation? Ooh, Tori, I think, just barely got in first with that one. Tori?
Are we talking about Ralph's nephew named Nephew?
That is correct. It is Ralph's nephew named Nephew. I'll throw in a bonus point if you can... Actually, I'm not going to do that, because I guess we don't know for certain. I was going to say if you can tell me who performed the character. I think it was Jerry Jewell, because it sounded exactly the same as Tim.
I was going to say Jerry Jewell.
It was Jerry Jewell.
Great.
Confirmed Jerry Jewell.
Awesome.
Yep.
Is he here?
He's around somewhere.
No.
Right behind that curtain, just look over to your left. I'm just kidding.
I'm quietly like shushing Bob Payne. I'm like, no, we need a Jerry, not Bob Payne.
Question
Someday, Bob.
4. I gotta meet Bob Payne. Question 4.
Good old Bobby Payne.
Good old Bobby Payne. Question 4. Throughout the Jimmy Dean Show, a romance develops between Ralph the dog and Lassie. Before this was established, however, in Ralph's first appearance on the show, what else does he tell us about Lassie? I can't tell who sent that in first. Was that Richard first?
It was Joe.
It was Joe?
No,
Joe?
no. Pat, skip me. No. Go with Richard.
Joe, what's your answer?
Well, so I thought you were going to ask who is he infatuated with, and I was going to say Lassie.
All right.
And then you asked some other question, and I didn't. I wasn't listening because I was.
Gav?
Yeah.
They're cousins.
Incorrect.
Why?
This is
I was so confident in that. I really
this is
thought.
on Muppet Wiki, and it was
Right.
it was in the compilation. Tori?
Were they like betrothed?
No, this has nothing to do with the romance. Richard, you take a random stab in the dark.
He found out. No,
Nope.
I
Okay,
really
you all
haven't.
lose.
I have no bits. I have no bits.
Richard not having a bit? What is it?
know.
Leap year?
Ralph establishes that Lassie is the president of dogs. Like
that's-
she's just
Oh.
their president, which is very progressive for a show in like 1963. That's great. Queen 5. Question 5. In that first appearance of Ralph on the Jimmy Dean Show, Ralph and Jimmy sang a duet together. Which of these songs was that duet? A. Swinging on a Star. B. Side by Side. C. Nobody. Or D. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. It looks like Joe was first, but Richard, was that for this question? How does
Oh, no,
how
that's
does,
for the
how does
last
Becca
one.
even
Who
tell
did I
who was
put?
buzzing in first? It probably helps when there are only 2 players. Joe, what you got?
Nobody.
Joe, that is correct, even though that Richard should have gotten that. You love
you're
that
right.
song, Richard.
Let's have a little Lassie podcast sometime.
Nope, we're not doing another one of these, Richard. We got to keep going.
Okay, question 6. Speaking of singing Muppet songs, which of the following songs did those of us who were there on the stroll along sing together? A. What's the name of that song? B. Sing After Me. C. You Are My Sunshine. Or D. Just One Person. Gav? What's your answer?
You Are My Sunshine.
That is correct. Question 7. This is the last one. On the subway ride home from the barbecue place, Tori and I saw a man dressed as what restaurant brand icon? Tori?
What the hell?
Colonel Sanders?
That is correct.
We really did. It was weird.
We really did. That Tori tweeted about that. That was public information, but Tori was not with us on the walking tour, so I had to make that even.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, gang. I'm opening up the floor for discussion. What was your favorite part of the trip? I liked that too. Joe, can you tell us about how it was decided where we would walk on the walking tour?
Yes, I'll tell you very briefly. So this is a walking tour that Heather Henson and I put together as an auction item. So, for example, the Center for Puppetry Arts might say, hey, we want to do an auction. What do you have for us that we can auction off? And you can put a bid on doing a walking tour in New York City with a real Henson of Jim Henson's New York. So this is something that she and I put together of just a few places where it's a lot of like filming locations and things where things used to be. Like there's where Jim used to live. There's where this building used to stand, and now there's nothing. But on that tour, as you mentioned, it's also Jim Henson's bench in Central Park, which is a great filming location. A great photo op. And then we veer off into the city streets of Manhattan. We see a few of the old buildings, for example, the old townhouse that a lot of you have seen in photos before. And then we end at the carriage house where they still do a lot of puppetry work today. So this is something that we've been doing for a couple of years now. So the locations were already kind of set for where we wanted to walk. But I will say we dream big. And we have a lot of ideas for, if we were going to do this again in future years of how we can kind of up the ante to make it not feel like we're doing the same thing every time. So, for example, this year, we really wanted to have a sing-along, which is why this was a sing-along tour. And unfortunately, it was pouring rain the entire time, or else we would have had Lucas Ross there with his banjo. But it is a vintage banjo, and we didn't want to get it wet and damaged. So it ended up just being a regular old let's walk and sing type of deal.
One of those normal sing-along, stroll-alongs, the typical kind that we all do every week.
As we all do, yes, of course. I would argue that the most special part about the entire thing was when we did stop at Jim's bench, we were all really excited to decorate the bench. Richard can talk a little bit about what he did, but I think everyone did an amazing job decorating the bench and bringing out chalk and drawing, and also people who were passing by would just stop and we would invite them to join us. And I feel like that's a very Jim thing to do.
So there was a moment on that walking tour when we're all gathered around this bench that we've been not quite graffitiing, but it felt close to that because of all the chalk drawings around it on the ground, the Muppet parts all over the bench, the flowers that we'd put on the bench. We did so much to that Jim Henson bench. Hopefully, it all came across to Jim Henson as respectful as we meant it for it to be to him. And we all know that Muppet people do live on in their benches, as we know from Don Saleen, using his bench to give us the name for Doozers. But there was a moment when it looked like Central Park security had stopped and was checking out what the heck are all of these weirdos doing to this bench, and then very quickly just had the biggest smile on his face and got out his phone and was just recording all of us celebrating Jim Henson and really enjoying it. Everyone seemed to enjoy the positive vibes that we were giving off. I certainly was. Can I mention another interesting moment with security observing us, though this is later in the day? When we were at the museum at a certain point, to continue the celebrating of Jim Henson, I got out my bag of party blowers, swoopfoomers. That I didn't know whether or not I was going to bring these, but you know what? I said I was going to. This is the continuation of a bit that goes back a long ways, all the way to my episode of Fraggle Talk, when I was talking about the episode of Fraggle Rock that introduces Doc's love of swoopfoomers. Can we play a clip? Well, I know we've barely begun the episode, but while we're on this topic, I have gone looking for these online in the past, and very often if you're trying to find one of these party blowers or noisemakers or whatever you want to call them, you end up looking for the wrong kind of noisemaker, or you get one that doesn't make a sound. That seems to be the most common version of this, is one that makes no sound, which makes sense for children's parties where children would just be making nonstop annoying noise. So I tried to find one that I could have specifically for this episode so I could make annoying noises throughout this show. And online, they're all pretty, poorly rated for the most part, unless you buy an enormous package. Unless you get 100 swoopfoomers, which they do sell them in 100 packs. It's very difficult to get one where the reviews don't all just say, it broke immediately. So
I think we can call that a business expense, right?
Yeah.
I felt the same way, so I bought 100 swoopfoomers. And
Are you serious?
Oh my god.
Glorious.
Let's see.
What are you going to do with those? Oh my, that's so many.
Step 1, use them to make annoying noises on a podcast. Step 2,
I haven't tested them yet.
Plan an in-person Tough Pigs get-together where we can all blow the swoopfoomers together.
100
This is my
of
thinking. Oh no, it's already broken. There we go.
Luckily, you have 99 more to test out.
This was also part of my
99 swoopfoomers there in the box. 99 swoopfoomers there.
No matter how many
you
are
take
broken.
one down, it doesn't make sound. 98 swoopfoomers left in the box.
There we go. Thank you. And I somehow got to carry on this bit all the way to the ideal punchline, which was Heather Henson blowing a swoopfoomer, and then everyone else following suit, and museum security looking at us wondering what to do about the fact that 30 people are blowing party horns in a museum. And the answer seemingly was to be pleasantly bemused and let it go. So I feel like I won. I can close the book on that bit. I still have some other needlessly complicated running gags that are still open. Fundthepigs.com is a bad running gag of mine that is still open for what it's worth. I have not finished promoting that gag just yet.
Pleasantly amused is my favorite sort of reaction.
Yeah, you get it all the time from me.
It's true.
Anything else? We what else can we say about that day? It was an incredible day. Can I just say?
It was
An amazing day
I
in New
want
York
to.
City.
I want to add one quick thing before we talk more about how great this was. I have heard from several people who were not there with us, and they wondered why they were not invited or why they hadn't heard about it. And I do apologize, just because there was no way that we could have had 500 people join us on this walking tour. That is against many, many Central Park rules. So we're hoping that we'll have opportunities to include more people in future years, or more people in future events that we might or might not be doing. Hopefully we'll figure something out, because we really like celebrating Muppet fans and their fandom of the Muppets. So so apologies to anyone who was not able to attend, but we hope that we'll get you at something else in the future.
Richard, do you want to ask your discussion question right now?
Yeah, I was about to say, directly ties into that. So obviously it was a huge honor to be able to take part in that, but the whole time, especially since last year, I had such a blast doing it last year, and I hope it becomes like a little annual thing. But something that stuck with me was, I am one of maybe like 20 people that gets to have this, and I feel kind of wrong about it. Like, I don't know, there are a lot of people who I like want to share this sort of thing with. And when I have this sort of moment with other people who are the same kind of weird that I am, it makes me think about how I felt like as a kid when I was like alone and I didn't really get to participate in this with other people. So taking the last two September 24th celebrations of Jim into account and our meetups, I was wondering what the future of Muppet fan meetups looks like, and how we can make them more accessible to people that aren't maybe in a place where we can go to that, like on the West or East Coast. I've been trying to think about how we can like digitally make it more accessible to people too.
It's so difficult because it's like you want people who can go to them to be able to go to them, but it's also like it sucks, for like when there's an event, like when I found out about the Dave Goelz event, which I know is a completely different thing and less fan focused and more like an official museum. I was bummed I couldn't go, because it was like, oh man, I wish that was the other museum and not the one that's in a completely different state that I had no opportunity to go to. Granted, that event I think did have a digital component, if I'm not completely.
Yeah, that was great. It was great. Anybody could be a part of that if they wanted to. Same with the celebration of Dave Goelz at the Brother Brothers podcast.
Yeah.
I know a lot of us tuned in live to that.
Right.
And that's part of what I'm talking about.
As for like the September 24th walk, I remember I did not go this year because someone didn't realize that I was in New York.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say names. Joanna, excuse me.
Heather Henson.
Heather. Yeah, Heather. Why did you call me? But like, I remember doing it last year, or something similar last year, and being like, how did I get picked for this? How I felt like imposter syndrome. Like, these are like, how am I here? Like, so many other people more deserving should have had this slot, and just like that, like how did all this happen has just like hit my mind several times in thinking about my place in Muppet fandom. And definitely these type of in-person events are one of the highlights, and also one of the things I'm like most confused on how I'm included in.
But also,
I
I appreciated that it was a cool group of people. And
I do too. I appreciate, because there's two very different sides of me. There's the part of me that's like, I do like it when I have a more small, concentrated group that I can just kind of talk to and eat with, and that kind of more intimate gathering. But there's also a part of me that wants to be like I want to throw a puppet at you, and I want to throw a puppet at you, and I want to count them later when I get them back. And I want everybody to sing together, and I want everybody to all mess around and celebrate and get weird. I think a lot about Jerry Nelson's poem for Jim. I think a lot about a lot of the specific phrases in it, like Mr. Hands Open Wide. Like, I think about like how we can interact with each other.
I mean, I'll also say that there are times when some of us independently do choose to meet up. Like, Gav, you were one of the people who was helping to arrange the time when a bunch of us got together in Baltimore.
I was?
That was not a group of the same size, but it was still quite a group of just fans. Like, no Heather Henson there yet. Richard, get into her DMs.
Don't test your luck.
So as the old man in this room, I've been a part of online Muppet fandom for a really long time. Not as long as certain people, but definitely longer than certain people here maybe have been alive. And I've seen a lot of different ways that Muppet fans have gotten together. The internet has definitely made this a lot easier. But for the most part, it starts, the stuff that you're talking about, JD, like it starts with like finding that online Muppet group, whether it's the Tough Pigs forum or your Facebook group or your Discord group or like all this the folks on Muppet Twitter, and then somebody saying like, hey, seems like there's a lot of us in Pennsylvania, let's all have a picnic,
right? And
then there's a picnic and suddenly you're rubbing elbows with all these fellow Muppet fans. But ever since I took over Tough Pigs, we've always been trying to find these ways that we can get people together, and it's really hard. The first time we ever tried, a million years ago, we tried to host a picnic on Governor's Island in New York City. And we told people just like, hey, here's where we're going to be. Show up at this time. Boom. And, we had a really small group. We probably already knew about half the people there. And then the half people who just like new friends to us. And, I think we were kind of expecting like there could be hundreds of people. We don't know. It's the internet. And it was just a few. It's like nothing that we would want to do over and over again. Because obviously our reach wasn't what we thought it was.
What year was that?
Years later, oh my God, good question. If I had to guess, 2006, 2007, maybe.
Is everyone here older than
maybe 2008?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know, I feel like
it was
I'm pretty sure
after
some of you in the room are
Wait,
younger than Tough Pigs.
Just a couple of years.
Ryan had moved to New York in 2008, so definitely after 2008. Now that I'm saying this out loud,
Okay.
But yeah, it was around there. Years later, Ryan and I started doing these monthly events, these Muppet Vault events, which were great because we would get like regular people who were coming over and over again. And if you missed one, it's okay because we'll do another one next month. And it was just a great way to get Muppet fans in a room together to celebrate Muppets. The closest that I think that we're coming, at least in New York, to anything like that is the events at the Museum of the Moving Image that Craig's putting on. But that for some reason doesn't feel like a fandom event. It just feels like it's just a cool screening. And so we're still trying to figure out what that thing is. These events that we've done the last couple of years have been really good for that because, Heather Henson seems really invested in wanting to embrace the fandom, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
We've got the Tough Pigs community, the Muppet Twitter community, everyone that we personally know, all of you fine folks who are in this general area of our country. But to Richard's point earlier, that is so exclusive to so many people. And again, because we started this whole thing as online Muppet fans, you could be living anywhere in the world.
Right.
And I understand like that's really difficult for anyone who doesn't live within a certain radius of New York City or Los Angeles. So we haven't quite cracked that code yet. I'll share one more failed attempt, which was when the 2011 Muppet movie came out. We had this great idea to host Muppet fan gatherings all over the world. And we had volunteers from every major city that we could find people where we knew people to say like, okay, like if you live in Cleveland, show up to this theater at this time. If you live in Detroit, show up at this theater at this time. If you live in, Austin, Texas, this theater at that time. And the hope was we would have all these mini gatherings of Muppet fans all over the country. And most of them, nobody really showed up. We had a small handful of those where, a decent amount of people showed up. Not a lot, but like a few. And, it was a cool idea. I think if we were going to do that now, we would do it very differently. But, again, like for some reason, like, I don't know if it's just because there's fewer people or in a larger space in other cities compared to New York or LA, but we just couldn't get those numbers up in any specific location.
Joe.
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah.
Given the Muppet merch conversation that we had earlier, about how it feels like if they make a Star Wars thing or a Star Trek thing or whatever in terms of merch that's $1,000, there will be just enough people who buy that they can justify it, but not so much with Muppet fans. And now, considering how many times we've tried to get a large number of Muppet fans together in person and haven't, because for all those people who are like, oh, I wish I could have been on the walking tour, there's at this point there's been an annual screening at the Museum of the Moving Image that you could have gone to, and yet that theater was mostly empty apart from people on the walking tour. Certainly not entirely, but mostly. Do we need to seriously consider the very real possibility, which I have always assumed to be the case, that there are not a lot of Muppet fans? Which makes it then, I will say, much more painful for those Muppet fans who are real, who do exist, to not be present for all of the cool things.
So I don't accept that as an answer, because if that were true, then the Muppets would be dead.
But
like if there weren't Muppet fans out there, then I don't think that there would be any investment on Disney's part to make Muppet stuff.
I think what JD is saying, I think there's a lot of people who are like the Muppets and watch the Muppets in a very casual way, but that the number of people who are like in the fandom is small. I think that's what JD is trying to say. Am I right by saying that?
Yeah, that's more or less correct, and I'll give you a point for it.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, no, I actually no, I think that's 100% true. But I think the weird thing that I haven't been able to wrap my brain around is that with other fandoms, there's a spectrum of fans where people can be anywhere between hardcore, I've read all and memorized every fact in every book and I own every single piece of merchandise, to like, well, I've seen Star Wars once or twice, but I'll see the next one if they ever do another one. Like there's all these different types of fans in between.
Right.
And with Muppet fans, it feels like we've got the super casual fans who go, oh yeah, I like that dog who plays the piano. And we've got the people like us who are such super fans that we do podcasts about the Muppets, and there doesn't seem to be much in between. And I don't necessarily think that it's true that there's no one in between there. It's just that I don't think that it's an easy clone to something like Star Wars or Star Trek or Doctor Who or whatever. I think that Muppet fandom is its own animal, and we just can't see who those people are and where they are and what they want yet.
And I think that group has a relatively limited bandwidth for how much they have Muppet stuff in their online feeds and how much they see this. And I think that what we have found is a lot of the people in between, to the extent to which there are people in between, and I agree with you that it certainly seems like it's not as many as you might expect or hope for. They kind of check their box of, I have Muppet stuff in my feed with Muppet history, which is understandable because it's a very well-run set of social media accounts. It's a pretty incredible social media project. But I think it is true that that's where I see a very large number of people in the middle space of that spectrum are like, okay, I have this to give me my fix of Muppets for the day where I got to see my one picture of Kermit the Frog, and I'm happy, and that's enough for me. I don't necessarily need to hear all the Muppet news or to go to meetups or whatever.
Right. And those people that you're describing, those are the people who used to show up to our Muppet Vault events. Like they're the ones who they knew who Rolf the dog is.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily diehard Tough Pigs readers. They're somewhere in between those two things. And they like the Muppets enough to say, yep, every month or every couple of months, I'm going to leave my house. I'm going to spend a few dollars. I'm going to go and watch this event and have a nice time. Those are the people that like who are they?
Yeah.
People who love the Muppets on just a slightly larger than casual level.
Right.
Now,
gosh, that is the question. You go ahead, Gav.
Where were the people who went to Muppet Fest on that scale?
All right.
That's a good question. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know.
Well, you were the one who was born and not a small child, so you're the one who will have the best answer, Joe.
I was in college when Muppet Fest happened, and I couldn't really afford to get myself out to California. And I think my recollection is that my dad offered to help me pay for it, but I didn't know anyone out there. So it's like, so how am I going to get around? Where am I going to stay? And I was a scared kid. I was like, I don't know how to do any of this. So you know what? I'll go to the next one.
That's wonderful. And Muppet Fest and these walking tours are not the only events that bring Muppet fans together. Oh, no. There was also a panel at New York Comic Con this year, hosted by Tough Pig's own Joe Hennis. Is that right? You were the host of this panel?
My God, but you're saying my name a lot on this podcast.
I am. I know. Well, this is why you're here.
His entire government.
Right. These past few months, you have been there for so much and so involved in.
I've been so busy, JD. I don't think people realize how tired
I can
am.
tell that you're very busy. I'm shocked that you agreed to do this show. How do you have time?
No,
How have you slept?
I'm in a lot of these things too.
That's true. I know, Richard. And we'll get to that in just a second. So
yes, Richard Michael Gomez is just less fun to say than Joe Hennis.
New York Comic Con had the panel this year hosted by Tough Pig's own Joe Hennis and featuring some great Muppet fan artists, which brings us to our next trivia questions. Question 1. This is for 20 points. Which of the artists on the panel didn't know he was expected to be there until he read on toughpigs.com that he was one of the panelists? Tori, did you buzz in first for that one? I think you did.
I know, because it's also the person who, up until like 2 days before, I thought was crashing in my dorm room that weekend. It's Richard Michael Gomez.
It is Richard Michael Gomez. That is correct. It is Richard Michael Gomez. You get the 20 points. Question 2 for 30 points. Which member of the Tough Pig staff was responsible for communicating with Richard that he was expected to be there, but evidently failed in this responsibility? Joe, did you buzz in first? It looks like you did.
I did buzz in.
Yeah, what's up?
But boy, it couldn't have been me.
In Joe's defense, he did tell me, but he told me in a different, I was not actually expecting it to happen because of the way he told me. I think he phrased it like, there was a chance we might need you as a backup if our planned person doesn't do it. And I was like, okay. I'm not buying tickets. I'm not going to Comic-Con. I don't go to Comic-Con. That's too many people for little old me. And then it happened, and I went 2 days later.
Richard, you had the right answer there, which Joe did not give, but you didn't buzz in. Tori buzzed in. Tori, what's the right answer?
The right answer I was gonna guess was J.D. Hansel, but I think it's actually Joe Hennis. So you just give me 15 points.
Well, Tori, you had the right answer, but you didn't phrase it in a question. So you.
Oh yeah. Who is the guy who is hosting this podcast?
None of you are getting points for that one.
Hosting this podcast.
None of you are getting the 30 points. Shame on all of you. All right, since I wasn't there for this event, Richard, can you tell me, Richard Michael Gomez, there, I said your name again. Can you tell me what the heck happened at this event?
What did happen? What's your discussion question?
I already gave my discussion question. What's your discussion question?
Okay, I didn't remember.
Tori, what else was happening at New York City Comic Con this year?
Not a lot Muppet related, JD. Not a lot. I went only on Thursday because I am a poor college student who can only afford one day. And you please edit this out if you want to, but I was wandering around the show floor, and you know how when you're at a Comic-Con and you see somebody dressed as something and you're like, hey, nice Indiana Jones costume, or hey, nice Spider-Man costume, right? So I'm just walking in the show floor and I say, hey, nice Figment costume. And who was there under the Figment costume?
Colonel Sanders.
No, it was Matthew Soberman, Tough Pigs writer and genuinely good guy.
Are you not joking? Are you serious?
Yes, no, seriously.
That's amazing.
I said, hey, nice Figment costume. And it was Matthew, and I had no idea it was Matthew.
Wow. There's a great surprise. That's fantastic.
So me and Matthew were walking around, and we went to the Diamond Selects toy panel, which promised in the description on the Comic-Con app that there'd be Muppets. And guess what we saw?
What did you see?
Colonel Sanders?
The same picture of the Pepe and Uncle Deadly figures that we have seen for months. Can I just briefly say it's weird that they chose those two to pack together? That's weird, right?
Well,
they're dating.
Disney does love to surprisingly package Pepe in with things, as we've seen with all of their DVD releases.
That's true. But anyway, Matthew was asked the question if any Muppet stuff was coming after it, and we got everybody's favorite response. If these sell, we have other ideas, which is, yeah. I might buy these, though, because I realize I don't have a Pepe figure, so maybe I'll get it. Maybe. Oh, and we asked. They did mention the date was coming in January or sometime. They were very vague about when they were releasing. So no news on that front, folks.
I actually remembered what I had to say about it, which was, first of all, what a grand old time hanging out with my buddies Dave Hulteen, Will Carroll, and Jay Fosgate. And there was another guy who invited me, but I can't remember. But the best part for me, the most standout part, oh God, I'm going to talk too long. I'm thinking about two different things.
Be fast. We've been recording for so long, Richard. Please let us out.
Okay. So you know me, I'm manic at best. And I was walking around this whole time, apart from the time we were actually doing the panel, with a squirrel puppet on my arm that I had built in like 12 hours for a 48-hour film festival. Anyhow, as I went around bothering people nonstop, as I typically do, there was this kindly gentleman in a Cormet denim jacket that I observed, and I naturally sprung up to him and started conversing with him with the squirrel puppet.
Of course.
And to my delight, he was very charmed, and we began a natural rapport that went on for like 5-10 minutes, like way longer than it should have. I sprung away into the darkness and did not see him again for another 2 hours. And when I did see him again, I learned that he is, in fact, Bruce Connolly, who performed Barkley on Sesame Street. So that was the highlight of my day.
Only in New York, or at a convention, or at a Muppet get-together, or at any of the things that we've been talking about today.
This does just kind of happen to me all the time.
This feels like a very Richard Michael Gomez thing to happen. I said your name again. I hope you're very happy. Now I'd like to take a moment to do some shameless self-promotion. This year, Richard Michael Gomez and I took part in the 48-Hour Halloween Puppet Film Project, which is an event hosted by filmmaker Alex Hugh Griffin with the support of, here's her name again, Heather Henson, and her organization, in which puppeteers and filmmakers have 48 hours in which to write, record, and complete an original puppet film. I'm only going to ask the panelists one trivia question about this topic, and it's this. What is the name of Heather Henson's YouTube account where you can watch the screening of and awards for the films that were submitted for this project? Tori?
Is that Ibex Puppetry?
That is Ibex Puppetry.
There we go.
Wait, it is Ibex Puppetry?
It is. The YouTube channel is still Ibex Puppetry.
It is Handmade Puppet Dreams that it's the name under.
Handmade Puppet Dreams is the name that is responsible for the 48-hour film project. Yes.
It's all very simple.
Handmade Puppet
Jimmy,
Dreams is
about?
a division of Green Feather Foundation, and Ibex Puppetry used to be the name of at least one of those things, and that is the anatomy of Heather Henson's things. Okay?
Okay.
Now we all understand and it's all very clear. For our final question, we're going to play a game we like to call Dog City. It's called Dog City because much like in the city of Dog City, anything can happen and it probably will. Our panelists will hear the question, then wager as many of their points as they want in the private messages, where they will also send their final answer. All right, let me tell you how many points you can wager.
I have to say, JD, I don't know if this is going to make it into the show, but this has been a delight, and I have had a smile on my face the whole time, so thank you for having me.
I am so glad.
Delightfulness. I'm sorry that it went on so long.
That's largely my fault. I'm the host. I take responsibility for the length.
It's also partly it's also definitely...
I'm not inserting myself into this conversation.
It's also partly Joe's, because he definitely had opportunities to keep the length down and was like, let me say something else about the walking tour.
I have so much more to say that didn't make it into this podcast. You realize, not that we need to go back, but like, we didn't actually say what our New York Comic Con panel was.
Yeah,
I know. There's no time. There's no time.
We moved on.
So when do I do my 20-minute monologue about Frazzle?
You don't get to do that, Tori, but you know what you do get to do? You do get to wear a big old smile on your face because, as it stands, you're in the lead with 73 points. Joe is behind you with 57 points, and then Richard with 44 and Gav with 43. So they're very close.
Yeah,
so
I don't want to talk
could
about
be anyone's game.
Anyone's game. So wager any number less than that as your amount of points for this final question. And actually, I will let you hear the question before you choose how much you're going to wager. And then do you all have the direct messages thing ready to go?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Your question is, who is this week's greatest Muppet fan? Richard sent in his points before he heard the question or decided on his answer. That's allowed, but not wise.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Your question is, who is this week's greatest Muppet fan?
This week?
This week.
Wait,
This
what
week.
day is it? It's Wednesday.
Who is this
What day is
month's greatest Muppet fan, if you like? It's the same answer.
Okay.
Hmm.
I don't even know how to begin to answer this.
Neither.
Guys, this is a really. The answer was very easy for the record.
I really have nothing. Oh my god.
Oh, shoot. I just messed up my Excel sheet.
Oh no, the
So
Excel
sorry,
sheet.
that's-
Oh no!
Are you Excel sheet?
I'm so sorry.
I don't forgive you.
Okay. The correct answer is, well, first I should clarify. At the top of this show, I said you would all be competing to be the greatest Muppet fandom panelist. So had you said yourself, you would have been close, on the right track, but incorrect. The correct answer is Becca Petunia for letting me spoof her show this week on the Great Muppet Fandom panel from toughpigs.com. For what it's worth, you all got that wrong, but Tori, who was in the lead, only wagered 15 points, whereas Richard wagered 40. Joe wagered all of 57 of his points.
All in, baby!
Gav wisely only wagered one of his 43. So 73 minus 15 is whatever 73 minus 15 is, and I believe that is more than the 42 that Gav has. So, Tori, congratulations. You are this week's greatest Muppet Fandom panelist.
See, I know how Jeopardy works. I watch that show every night.
Yeah, Tori. Yeah,
Yeah.
You did it. Tori, by the way, your prize is a swoopfoomer if you want it.
I already have one, so I'll take it. I'll take another.
Okay, great. Panelists, friends, we've reached the end of another edition of the Great Muppet Fandom panel. Hey, why don't I ask the panelists where we can find them on the internet today? Gav, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Gavry3. You can also find me on YouTube as a bagel. I'm one of the best baked goods on YouTube and the entire internet ever. And also you can find me on Muppet Wiki sometimes. Shout out to Scott.
Tori, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on the Muppets No Context. That's at Muppet No, mostly on Twitter. There is an Instagram. I haven't touched it in months. There is a TikTok. I forgot the password. There is a Blue Sky. They don't let you post videos on there, so I don't even know why I made it. You can also follow my personal account on Twitter at SpellThings, because I don't know how to spell things. And you can also find me in the deli aisle of the local grocery.
Richard, where can people find you on the... Sorry, Richard Michael Gomez.
Damn straight.
Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on what is formerly Twitter, but I don't recommend it. You can find me on Instagram at Richard Michael Gomez. And you can also check out my website, Richard Michael Gomez, made by our very own Gav.
Yeah, you can also contact me through his contact form.
That's true. You can find me wherever Gav is, probably. I just want to say, JD, I feel honored to be a part of the first 7-hour podcast relating to the Muppets. We're going on 8 hours now. Wow.
That feels right. Joe Hennis, where can people find you on the internet?
You know, a lot of people talk about how Elon Musk is doing a lot of horrible things for the world right now. But the one nice thing that he did was he convinced me to really start to get myself off of social media. So I'm not really able I'm not really anywhere right now. But the one personal thing that you can find is I have a Substack where I post movie and TV reviews. It's called Joe Consumes Media. So you could find that on substack.com. And everything else I post goes straight to Tough Pigs, which JD is going to tell you all about in just a second.
After this, yeah, I will. And now, a moment of spontaneous applause for our panel of Muppet experts. Thank you. If you enjoyed this program, we hope you'll consider supporting us on Patreon. Thank you to those of you who do so now. This Tough Pigs Muppet Fan Podcast was executive produced by the Tough Pigs Muppet Fan Podcast executive producer, Joe Hennis.
That's my name!
Thanks to Kenny Durkin for our artwork, and thanks to Frank Oz, because it's always a good time to thank a Frank. Also, congratulations to Becca for being this week's greatest Muppet fan and for getting married.
Congratulations to Becca.
Mm-hmm. Of course, I'm very thankful to Becca for letting me use the Hubbawa studio to record this show.
JD?
Oh, shoot.
What are you doing in here?
Nothing. Listen. It's just a great Muppet Fandom panel. Guys, stop hitting the buzzers,
I leave
please.
the studio for a week, and you move in and start hubba-wahing without me?
For toughpigs.com, this is JD Hansel reminding you, as I always do, of Jim Henson's motto: you'll never get out of the cube. Goodbye.
Bye. Woo!
Is this because I ask you those difficult questions about Prairie Dawn's Dutch name or whatever?
Becca, this show is a tribute to all podcasts, but mostly Hubba Wah.
What are you even doing, JD?
Now, I'm not saying Gordon and Susan were sent to a retirement home, but the only other explanation from them being driven out of their apartment they've had ownership for over 50 years, aside from gentrification, is that they died. And they couldn't have died if Gordon was proven to be in the new season. Now, that only leaves the question if Susan is still alive.
What happened to punctuality? People used to appear 15 minutes early to a podcast. My roommate, it took him like 45 minutes to get here. We're recording at least a half hour off schedule. I just wanted to talk about Muppets with friends.
And so Fozzie Bear came into my house and stole my candy dish that I stole from Jay Leno, that he stole from George Carlin, that he stole from Lauren Michaels, that he stole from Bozo, that he stole from Ronald Reagan, that he stole from Jacqueline Onassis, that she stole from Marilyn Monroe.
In episode 205 of The Muppet Show, Kermit the Frog interviews the Kuzbanian Foob, which turns out to be a shapeshifter that transforms into an identical clone of Kermit. But what if the real Kermit was left on Kuzbane while the Foob has been masquerading as Kermit for the past 46 years? And let's take it one step further. What if the real Kermit escaped from Kuzbane by hitching a ride on a cosmonaut spaceship and then had to assume a new identity as a Russian explosives expert, later to be captured and imprisoned in a Siberian gulag? Constantine is the real Kermit the Frog. It's an interplanetary conspiracy.